the subcommittee, because as you can see, there's one person here, and that's me. It gets a little bit tight here at the end of session, and Senator Fitzwater, I'm going to have him come up first because he's supposed to be somewhere else right now, too. So he is bringing forward Tamara Tateosian, who is nominated to be on the Missouri Workforce Development Board. Good morning.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Travis Fitzwater, 10th Senate District, and excited to have my friend Tamara Tateosian here. It's a tricky name, but she's very gracious, so I'm sure she'll let that one slide, Senator. But appreciate your time. I'm not going to read a lot of this. You have her bio. She's become a great friend. I just want to talk about her as a person because I just think that's more valuable to know what kind of leaders these are that are going on boards. Tamara came into Callaway County, not a native Calawegian, and she is just kind of like a incredibly hardworking doer. And I'm more than thrilled to ask you to appoint her or allow her to get through this process so she can go into the Workforce Development Board and be the same force of nature she is for Callaway County. And you know, rural counties don't have real strong voices in a lot of ways, but we do because Tamara, she is just like a bulldog on a bone on any issue that she takes up that she thinks is valuable for our county. And so I'm so thrilled to be here to offer in front of the committee. She has all the prerequisites you'd want for somebody who's going on this board. She serves diligently on a lot of unpaid boards. She's very, she's a public servant to the nth degree. And so I'm so excited to have her here. I hope she gets a question or two that she can answer with you all, but she's been a great advocate for Callaway County, for the state of Missouri, and I know she will be in the workforce space as well, as she's taken that on valiantly in Callaway County over the years. She's been our chamber director. So happy to take any questions.
All right, thank you. I have a question. So what do you think the employment and training needs are?
So we have lots of employment training needs in the state of Missouri, primarily in Callaway County. We see, we need those welders and those electricians, making sure that we have people that are looking at those skill sets that are in the trades. I think that's one of the things that we really need to focus on, and we also need to work on developing those leaders within our organizations that we currently have and helping them get to the next level.
Okay, so I agree with you about that. I thought it was a huge mistake when the schools took out the trades and said, well, everyone needs to go to college. So now we don't have anybody that can do electrical work or plumbing or build a house or anything else. I also think, this is not a question, and I'm not going to make a speech, but I also think that we need to reduce tablet time in the schools. I think kids already know how to run a computer, they know how to run their phone, but they don't know how to do a lot of other things that they need to be able to do without those things. So thank you for your response to my question. Anyone else have any? Yes, Senator Moon.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you tell me the background on the name Tateosian?
Yes, it is Armenian. My husband is a first-generation immigrant.
And I noticed that you worked for the Whirlpool Corporation, and I remember the commercials, the Maytag man who was always sitting around not doing anything. I think Whirlpool has them beat on some of their appliances especially, so I'm grateful for that. Thanks for your input on that part. I agree with the Senator with response to the time on computers and things of that sort. Whether or not you would have, tell me, what influence might you have, because it's all related. The students who are in school today are ultimately going to be in the workforce somewhere. And so what is your opinion on changes that need to be made, and how could that be orchestrated? with your perspective.
Yeah, so I really agree that, the cell phones out of the classrooms recently has been impactful, and I do hear that from our school superintendents and our teachers. I think a reduction in the tablet time is important as well. I feel like I'm a very strong voice, and I'm a very strong voice in not only our community, but also within our state, and I think those things are important for us to implement in some form or fashion in the very near future.
There is a neuroscientist who's starring on a podcast, I'd say, who spent a lot of time in Australia, and he has recently stated his opinion on the impact that technology has on our minds, not just adults or children and students, but adults too. So if you have an interest, maybe I can coordinate with Senator Fitzwater and get that podcast to you so that you can have some insights where he's coming from. Some pretty good studies that came from it. So thanks for being here, and look forward to talking to you in the future.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else? All right, so thank you for being here. Thank you for your willingness to serve. Next up, wait a minute. We have enough people here. We're going to establish a quorum, so Mr. Secretary, call the roll.
Senators O'Laughlin.
Here.
Luetkemeyer. Bean. Beck. Bratton. Brown. Berger. Moon. Mosley. Roberts. Williams.
All right, we now have a quorum. Next up, Meredith Vogeler, Senator Schroer, and she's nominated to be on the Missouri State Board of Nursing.
Hello.
Thank you, members of the committee. For the record, State Senator Schroer introducing. Very excited to introduce Dr. Meredith Vogeler. I'm going to read a little bit from her bio and then give you a little bit of a background. Like I said, I'm very excited to sponsor Dr. Meredith Vogeler to the Missouri State Board of Nursing. Dr. Vogeler serves as the Nursing Program Director at Lindenwood University in St. Charles County, where she leads development and oversight of the nursing program and is actively involved in curriculum design, faculty leadership, accreditation, and regulatory compliance. She brings an extensive expertise in nursing, education, academic leadership, and program development. And I remember getting a text message one day from Meredith, and I've heard from numerous people about vacancies on the nursing board, and had heard her name getting thrown around. I remember getting a text message from her and her reaching out. She's very diligent, wanted to talk to me about her interest in the nursing board. And as you all know, that's not usually the case. Usually the governor has to go through and try to find applicants, but she was chomping at the bit to help nurses, to help new nurses coming in, to serve on the board in this capacity, as there is a healthcare crisis in the state of Missouri. So I'm going to turn it over to her, let you all ask her any questions. I'm very excited, as somebody this passionate needs to be serving our state in some capacity, and I'm very excited to sponsor her and that she's in my district as well.
All right, thank you. Perhaps you could give us a little background or tell us what you'd like to accomplish on the board.
Okay. I think my whole goal of doing this is just to continue to help protect and serve the people of Missouri, to help uphold the nursing profession to the high standards that I teach in my classroom, that we have every day, and that I upheld as a nurse working through COVID in an emergency room. So my goal is, I think, all those encompassed to protect and serve people, whether it's as a nurse or on the board.
So my grandson is marrying a girl that's going to be a nurse practitioner.
Nice.
And when I look at hospitals and the number of nurses they have, they don't have enough.
Yep.
And I'm not sure, even if we have a lot of people go into the nursing career, if they're going to want to go to work in the hospital. Do you see that as an issue? Because kind of I do. And what's the answer to that?
That is such a great question and such a hot topic, and for me it's very important and very just at the center of my heart. No, there's not enough nurses. We don't have enough nurses. I would say after COVID, it really fell off, where people didn't want to go into nursing after seeing all the things that they were put up against. It was very real. It was very hard in the emergency room. And then now it's kind of coming back where people want to be nurses. But on the flip side of that, I believe it's very important for Missouri to realize like how rural we are and how much help our state needs with all nurses, whether it's LPNs, RNs, advanced practice nurses, and the ability to practice to help all the people around.
So what's the average ratio of nurses to patients in hospitals?
So, great question as well. So many things. Average in the emergency room, 4 to 1. Very, very, very hard to have 4 to 1 in an emergency room. We've all, walked in an emergency room, and then when it's your family there, golly, I really just want their attention, or why is this taking so long? Maybe it's just a broken leg. Maybe it's a heart attack. But there's 4 to 1 is hard. You get up to a floor, 6 to 1. Get up to a floor at nighttime, 8 to 1, 10 to 1. You're praying that they sleep. They probably don't. It's very hard. You get into a long-term care facility, it might be 24 to 1. It's intense. It's a lot. And so it takes a very special person to become a nurse. It's also a reason why we have a lot of burnout too, right? Because there's a lot of other things that they can go and move on and do.
So I know that if you have someone in the hospital, you just make sure one of your family members is there 24 hours a day, which we kind of experienced last year, and I don't know the answer either, but obviously supply and demand is not matching up, and it's very hard work. Mm-hmm. So I think they're going to have to be paid more, and hospitals are going to have to make sure they have a better ratio. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, we're not going to have anybody want to do it, and we're kind of approaching that, I think.
Well, and as an educator, that's one of the things I'm really striving hard to do, is to teach our students active strategies to prevent burnout, that, when you come into a floor and all you hear about is how awful it is to work there, they're not going to want to do it. So, one of those things is really putting in ways that we can empower nurses to talk about the things that they deal with. I know my husband had a lot of nights where I'd come home and just be like, whew, and just talk about what I need to talk about to prevent that burnout.
We have that trouble here. Does anyone else have a question? Senator Moon?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Traveling nurses make a salary much higher than the average nurse wage. How has traveling nurses impacted, either negatively or positively, the shortage?
Another great question. I hate to keep bringing it back to COVID, but we never anticipated this happening, right? There's always been traveling nurses, traveling respiratory therapists, traveling physicians, traveling educators. There's always been traveling for some other types of jobs. But this has changed the game. It really has. So I do think the cliff will come down a little bit, and it is starting to come down where people are realizing they're not paying as much to travel. But when you think about it, we are competing with every other state. I have other different states calling and saying, what can we do to get your nurses to come to Missouri, or to North Dakota? North Dakota. What can we do to get you guys to come here? We can pay them more, we can do these things. So it's creating a huge problem. I don't know the answer, but I know that new nurses, especially, I have a lot of kids, so I didn't travel. I didn't do that. It wasn't what I would have loved the money, but I didn't travel. But when you're young and single and don't have any kids, we're going to lose them to other states, because that's the game that's being played, unfortunately. It's a problem. So I don't think I have an answer. I just am agreeing with what you're saying. Mm-hmm.
Senator Bratton?
Yeah, just to piggyback, I know there's a shortage, but, I was also here in the legislature when, nurses went from being heroes to zeros when it came to COVID. They were the front line, tip of the spear when this all unfolded. Mm-hmm. But then I'm getting, myriads of nurses contacting my office saying that my hospital is literally forcing me to have to get a jab or else be fired, and they were. Yeah. And so it was literally a self-inflicted wound. I mean, that You know, it wasn't necessarily that people were leaving. It was they being fired and forced out.
Correct.
So, you know, I think we've got to look within as well in these big, massive healthcare, you know, conglomerates that imposed a terrible policy and left healthcare in shambles. So, I know I'm just speaking in generalities, but I mean, it's, you know, it's like, it's not hard to figure out what the heck happened.
Yeah. And I think one of the things, just to piggyback on that, I always teach this to my students. Evidence-based practice is what we preach all the time, right? Evidence-based practice. COVID was the biggest case of evidence-based practice I've ever seen. So to sit here and to say, we're going to do this, you have to have this, you need to have this, here's the treatment for this. Oops, that was wrong. You're going to need to do this. We're going to have to do this. Treatment for this. Oops, that was wrong, right? It was evidence, right? And so we did the best that we could at the moment. I think hospitals have learned that nurses and any healthcare worker, that we have voices as well, and that we can only do so much to protect the patients, but also to protect ourselves. So it was I agree with you. Once again, it was very interesting.
Well, and that was one thing. Even I had a Zoom call with numerous doctors in the Kansas City metro area explaining, like, they've dealt with numerous sorts of diseases, and they had protocols of which they knew would at least be beneficial, but they were prohibited from doing anything other than what came from you know, the national and global organizations. So I mean, it's like, anyway, I don't want to belabor the point, but it's just like, I mean, we shot ourselves in the foot and continued to, and hopefully we've learned something from that.
I think we've learned a lot from that. And I think, honestly, like you talk about those protocols, anytime that someone would come into the emergency room, there was a protocol that we had to follow. And those protocols got to the point that we were like, ooh, maybe this is not the right thing to be doing, right? And maybe people didn't have the best outcomes because of the things that we were doing. So thinking of all that, but also being the nurses and the doctors having to go in and do that, you're right. We were told to follow this, this, and we didn't have an option until we did.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
It was intense.
All right, any other questions? Seeing none? Thank you for your willingness to be here today, and thank you for your
Thank you
willingness
so much.
to
I
serve.
appreciate it.
Senator Moon and Yulissa Gomez-Delgado are next. She's nominated to be on Missouri Southern State University Board of Governors.
See if I can scoot it up without. There you go. Good morning. I'm Mike Moon. I represent the 29th Senate District, and I have here to present Yulissa Gomez-Delgado as the student representative for the Missouri State Southern University Board of Governors. And just met Yulissa just a few minutes ago. Had a good conversation with her, learned that she is the firstborn generation in her family in the States. Came from Mexico, just south of McAllen. Her grandparents, her parents also came to the States. And Yulissa has a kind of a unique perspective, I think, of watching her parents gaining citizenship the right way. As a result, she's going to be graduating from Missouri Southern next May, I believe it is. And then she wants to pursue a law degree focusing on immigration. And I think that's a fantastic perspective. She wants to do other things, I'm sure, but that's going to be her main goal. And so I hope that she is successful, and I think she's going to add a perspective to the Board of Governors that will be unique and may help guide the future for the university. So I present to you today, and I hope that you will, if you don't know the meaning of her last name, Delgado, that you will at least ask her that question.
All right, what is the meaning of your last name?
So Delgado directly translates to skinny in Spanish.
Well, that must be why I don't have that name. Living example. All right, does anyone have a question? Senator Berger.
Yes, thank you for your willingness to serve, but what is your interest to serve?
So I am very involved on campus. I'm in several groups, including Student Senate, the Latin American Student Alliance, the Pre-Law Pride program. So being in all of those different groups, I feel like I could provide a very good student perspective. I also have a very dear place in my heart for Missouri Southern. That school has given me so much that I believe it's only fair to return the favor to provide my student perspective and serve on the board.
Thank you.
Are you familiar with the other members that are already on the board? Have you met them or?
Yes, ma'am. So I have attended my first board meeting as of March. It was excellent. I met everyone on the board, and everyone was very friendly. Definitely helped me solidify that this was the correct choice for me.
All right, any other questions? Seeing none, thank you for your willingness to serve and good luck.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yes, you're welcome. Next up, I will be introducing Roger Stottlemyre. He is really from Senator Cierpiot's district, but Senator Cierpiot is not here today, and Mr. Stottlemyre is being nominated to be on the Missouri Gaming Commission. So, good morning. For the record, I am Senator O'Laughlin, standing in for Senator Cierpiot, introducing Roger Stottlemyre on behalf of Senator Cierpiot. Mr. Stottlemyre has been appointed to the Missouri Gaming Commission, and boy, do we like to talk about gaming here, and is very qualified for this position. From 2006 to 2010, he served as Deputy Director of the Missouri Gaming Commission, and from 2010 to 2015, he was their Executive Director. Before his time with the Gaming Commission, he worked for the Missouri State Highway Patrol for over 30 years, and at his highest level, he served as the Colonel Superintendent of the Missouri State Highway Patrol. Mr. Stottlemyre also served in the United States Marine Corps and served during the Vietnam War. Thank you for your service. And I'm proud to present Mr. Stottlemyre before the committee for confirmation, and I'm sure he'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Well, thank you very much for being willing to serve in this capacity, Simplify. So thank you. Any questions? See none. Well, congratulations to you.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you.
We will now call the Committee on Gubernatorial Appointments to order. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll. Whoops, sorry. That concludes our hearing, and I make a motion for us to enter executive session. Do I have a second? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? We are now in executive session. I move that we roll all four nominees into one slate. Do I have a second? Is there any discussion on this motion? Seeing no more discussion, all those in favor say aye. We now have a slate before us. I would move that we do pass the slate out of committee. Do I have a second? Is there any discussion on this motion? Seeing no more discussion, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Senators O'Laughlin,
Aye.
Lukemeyer, Bean, Beck, Bratton, Brown, Berger, Moon, Mosley, Roberts, Williams.
By a vote of 9-0, we have voted do pass all of these nominees. So I move that we adjourn. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? We are now adjourned.